the act of ignoring a woman. You probably already know it's not just some cold, petty game. It's not about pretending she doesn't exist or trying to be a villain in her story. It's about something much deeper. It's about self-control, about shifting the power dynamic, about remembering that your attention is a currency, and if you spend it recklessly, you'll always end up broke. Men today are bleeding themselves dry, giving away their attention for free, like a leaking faucet, dripping drop after drop, until there's nothing left. And when a woman realizes she can drink from your well anytime she wants without earning it, she loses respect. Respect gone, attraction follows right behind. And then you're left confused, wondering why she pulled away when you gave her everything. That's why we need to talk about the dark psychology of ignoring a woman. Because this isn't about cruelty, it's about clarity. It's about drawing a line between weakness and power. It's about becoming the man she cannot control, the man she cannot predict, the man she cannot break. If you're here, it means you're tired of playing the fool. You're tired of investing everything into a woman only to feel empty when she doesn't give back. You're tired of over-explaining yourself, tired of over-texting, tired of over-giving. And you've realized something critical. Chasing doesn't win her heart. It only convinces her she can run further. So if you're ready to understand what happens when you stop chasing and start holding your ground, listen closely. What I'm about to share with you isn't a trick or a gimmick. It's the psychology of men who command respect in relationships, men who know their value, men who embody the ancient wisdom of Stoics like Marcus Aurelius and Seneca, who taught the importance of mastery over the self. But before we get into it, let me pause for a second and remind you, if you want more raw, unfiltered conversations about relationships, masculinity, and power, hit that subscribe button right now. Because this channel isn't here to sugarcoat, it's here to wake you up. And trust me, the things I'm about to share may sting, but they'll also set you free. Now, let's get into the first lesson, and I want you to sit with this carefully. 1. Attention is leverage. Let's cut straight to the truth. Your attention is not free. It's leverage. And the moment you treat it as disposable, you lose the game. Women are intuitive. They can feel when you are desperate, when your attention comes without standards, without requirements. Imagine this. If a luxury watch brand suddenly gave out watches for free on every street corner, would anyone value them? Of course not. People value what is scarce, what requires effort, what demands investment, and your attention is no different. Here's the problem. Most men today have forgotten this. They text constantly. They comment on every picture. They shower her with validation at every turn. And what happens? The woman adapts. She becomes desensitized. She begins to treat your words and your time as background noise. Ignoring a woman, not in a childish game-playing way, but in a deliberate, disciplined way, resets the balance. It reminds her that your presence is not guaranteed, that your focus must be earned. This is not cruelty, this is clarity. Seneca once said, "He is most powerful who has power over himself." When you stop throwing your attention around recklessly, you are showing power over yourself. You are saying, "I know my worth. I know my time matters, and I don't give it away to someone who hasn't proven they deserve it." Now ask yourself this. Why do you think men who are scarce with their attention are always the ones women chase? Why do you think the man who doesn't reply instantly, the man who is focused on his mission, the man who doesn't orbit around her every move, why is he always the one who stands out? It's because women subconsciously recognize value in restraint. They know that if you can't control your impulses, you can't lead yourself, let alone lead in a relationship. Think of Marcus Aurelius. The man was emperor of Rome, Yet his writings and meditations show constant reminders to himself to stay disciplined, to not get lost in distraction, to remain grounded in what truly matters. If an emperor understood the danger of scattering his focus, why wouldn't you apply the same lesson in your relationships? Ignoring a woman isn't about withholding affection forever. It's about creating a healthy dynamic where she knows your attention is tied to respect, not to her whims. And that distinction makes all the difference. 2. Respect is born in absence. There's a reason the phrase "absence makes the heart grow fonder" has stood the test of time. In relationships, presence can create comfort, but absence creates respect. And respect is the foundation of desire. When a woman knows that you are always available, always one text away, always ready to drop everything for her, she may feel secure, but she will not feel inspired. Desire doesn't grow in suffocation. It grows in space. Think about the last time you wanted something badly. Maybe it was a car, a promotion, or even a vacation. You didn't crave it because it was in front of you every second. You craved it because there was distance, because there was effort required, because you had to move toward it. The same principle applies to human attraction. Ignoring a woman strategically isn't about manipulation. It's about creating the space where she can miss you, where she can reflect on your value, where she can wonder about you instead of taking you for granted. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, taught that we suffer more from imagination than from reality. Apply that here. When you create absence, a woman's imagination does the work for you. She starts to think, what's he doing? Why hasn't he texted? Who else has his attention? That curiosity pulls her closer to you than constant chasing ever could. But here's where most men fail. They confuse absence with punishment. They disappear in anger. They withhold affection to hurt. They use silence as a weapon. That's not power, that's insecurity dressed as strength. True power is calm. True power is the man who can step back without bitterness, who can say, I don't need to be in your face for you to know my worth. That kind of man doesn't just create respect, he commands it. So let me challenge you. When was the last time you allowed yourself to be missed? When was the last time you stopped flooding her with attention and let silence do the work? If the answer is never, then you've never truly understood the psychology of absence. Because absence, when used wisely, makes her chase what she once overlooked. And in that chase, respect is reborn. 3. Silence speaks louder than words. Most men are addicted to over-explaining. When a woman pulls back, they panic. They start sending long texts, asking questions, demanding answers, begging for reassurance. Every word they send only drains them further, only reveals more desperation, only confirms that they've lost control of the frame. But here's the truth. Silence is often more powerful than anything you could ever say. Let me ask you this. What do you think hits harder? A man who bombards a woman with emotional paragraphs about how much he cares, or a man who quietly goes about his life unbothered, letting her sit in the void of his silence? Which one do you think inspires curiosity, respect, even a little fear? Exactly. Silence is unsettling because it creates space for the mind to wander. When you don't respond, when you don't react, when you don't feed the cycle with endless words, you force her to reflect on her own actions. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." Apply this to relationships. The best response to disrespect, confusion, or testing behavior isn't to argue, complain, or explain. It's to step back, stay calm, and let silence speak for you. That silence communicates, I'm not here to beg. I'm not here to prove. I know who I am, and if you don't, that's your loss. Women expect reactions. They expect drama. They expect men to chase and plead. When you break that expectation with silence, you reset the entire dynamic. And let me make this clear. Silence is not the same as ignoring a woman forever. It's about strategic restraint. It's about pausing instead of exploding. It's about creating a space that forces respect. So here's the mind-blowing question I want you to sit with. What would happen if, instead of always reacting, you gave her the gift of your silence? What would happen if you stopped defending yourself and simply let your actions or your absence carry the weight? You might be surprised at how quickly silence flips the power back into your hands. 4. Scarcity creates desire. Have you ever wondered why people chase what they can't easily have? Why diamonds are valued more than rocks? Why a limited edition item sells out instantly while something abundant collects dust on a shelf? It's simple. Scarcity creates desire. And the same principle applies to your attention, your presence, your time. Men who are always available, always ready, always saying yes, become like the rocks scattered on the ground, everywhere, ordinary, replaceable. But the man who lives by his mission, the man who isn't always accessible, the man who is selective, he becomes like a diamond. Scarce, valuable, desired. Ignoring a woman strategically taps into this psychology. It shows her that your time is not cheap, that you are not like every other man lining up to give her everything for nothing. Seneca once warned about squandering time, saying, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." When you waste your time endlessly chasing a woman, you're not just losing her respect, you're losing yourself. But when you treat your time as scarce, when you put your goals, your growth, your mission first, you automatically raise your value. She begins to see that your presence is not guaranteed, and that very scarcity ignites her desire. Think about modern figures we admire, men who dominate their field, men who are obsessed with their craft, men who don't have hours to spend scrolling through social media or begging for attention. These men are scarce. Their time is precious. And that's exactly why people are drawn to them. The same applies in your relationships. So let me challenge you here. Are you living like a man whose presence is scarce, or like a man who is always available at the click of a button? If you were her, which version of you would you respect more? Which version of you would you chase? When you start seeing yourself as the scarce resource, you stop giving yourself away so cheaply. And in that shift, you take back your power. 5. Control is more attractive than chaos. Here's something most men don't want to hear. Women will test you. They will push your buttons, pull away, go cold, or even ignore you just to see how you respond. And most men fail these tests because they crumble. They lash out, they beg, they spiral into chaos. And once that chaos shows, respect evaporates. But the man who stays calm, who stays in control, who doesn't react emotionally, that man becomes magnetic. Ignoring a woman is a tool that helps you practice this control. When she withdraws, instead of chasing, you pause. When she provokes, instead of snapping, you stay silent. When she plays games, instead of joining in, you detach. This level of self-control is rare, and because it's rare, it's powerful. Epictetus taught that we cannot control what happens to us, but we can always control our response. That is the essence of masculine power. You can't control whether she tests you, whether she ignores you, whether she challenges you. But you can control whether you react with chaos or with calm. And in that choice lies the difference between losing respect and commanding it. Think about it. Who is more attractive? The man who panics every time she pulls back, or the man who calmly continues living his life unshaken? Who do you think she respects more? The man who loses control, or the man who demonstrates mastery over himself? It's obvious. Yet so many men choose chaos over control. So here's the question I want you to wrestle with. If control is the essence of masculine power, why do you keep giving yours away so easily? Why do you let one woman's behavior dictate your emotions, your energy, your sense of self? Once you truly absorb that control is always yours to keep, ignoring her when necessary becomes effortless. Because it's no longer about punishing her. It's about protecting your peace. 6. Power is in the withdrawal. Every man needs to understand this. Walking away is sometimes more powerful than staying. Withdrawal is not weakness. Withdrawal is not defeat. Withdrawal is often the moment when a woman realizes she has underestimated you. When you withdraw, when you step back, when you stop feeding the connection with endless attention, you force her to confront the possibility of losing you. And that possibility triggers more desire, more respect, and more reflection than any amount of chasing ever could. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Withdrawal is proof of this principle. You may not control her feelings, you may not control her decisions, but you always control your choice to step back. And that choice carries weight. It says, I will not fight for a place in your life. I will not beg for attention. I will not settle for less than respect. Too many men cling. They fight to the bitter end, thinking if they just try harder, give more, prove themselves one more time, she'll finally see their worth. But clinging suffocates. Withdrawal liberates. When you walk away, not in anger, not in a tantrum, but with calm confidence, you remind her that your life does not orbit around her. You remind her that you are complete on your own. Think of modern examples. The most admired men, athletes, leaders, creators, they don't cling to what doesn't serve them. They walk away from bad deals, from toxic partnerships, from wasted time. And in doing so, they reinforce their value. You need to adopt the same mindset in relationships. Your withdrawal is not the end of your worth. It is the expression of it. So let me ask you this. What are you afraid of losing if you withdraw? If the answer is her, then the deeper truth is you've already lost yourself. Because the man who knows his value doesn't fear withdrawal. He uses it as a tool. And that's where true power lies. 7. Indifference is irresistible. Now we come to the final and perhaps most misunderstood lesson. Indifference. The ability to remain unshaken by whether she stays or goes, whether she adores you or ignores you, whether she invests or withdraws. Indifference is not coldness. It's not bitterness. It's the calm recognition that your life, your mission, your happiness do not depend on one woman. And when you embody this, you become magnetic. Women are wired to test men for strength. They want to know, can you hold steady when things get rough? Can you remain grounded when she's emotional? Can you stay calm when the dynamic shifts? Most men can't. They collapse at the first sign of disinterest. But the man who is indifferent, who remains steady no matter what, that man commands attention. Because he shows he is not desperate. He shows he is whole. He shows he is free. Epictetus taught that freedom is not achieved by satisfying desires, but by eliminating the need for them. Apply this here. When you stop needing her validation, when you stop needing her constant affection, when you stop needing to be reassured, you become free. And in that freedom, you become irresistible. Here's what most men get wrong. They think indifference means not caring about her at all. That's not it. It's not about apathy. It's about balance. It's about caring without clinging, loving without losing yourself, giving without begging. True indifference is strength disguised as calm. It's saying, I choose you, but I don't need you. My life is full, with or without you. And that statement, spoken not with words, but with your energy, is the most attractive force you can ever project. Because women don't want to be your oxygen. They want you, not to be responsible for your survival. Indifference makes that possible. So here's the question you must face. If she walked away today, would you collapse or would you continue to rise? Your answer to that question will tell you whether you've mastered indifference or whether you're still enslaved by the need for approval. And that statement, spoken not with words, but with your energy, is the most attractive force you can ever project. Because women don't want to be your oxygen. They want you, not to be responsible for your survival. Indifference makes that possible. So here's the question you must face. If she walked away today, would you collapse or would you continue to rise? Your answer to that question will tell you whether you've mastered indifference or whether you're still enslaved by the need for approval. If you take anything from this, let it be this. Ignoring a woman is not about games, it's about growth. It's about realizing that your attention is valuable, that respect thrives in absence, that silence and scarcity create weight, that control, withdrawal, and indifference are the cornerstones of masculine strength. This isn't about punishing her, it's about protecting you. The men who master this are not cruel, they are clear. They are not heartless, they are whole. And women respect that. Women are drawn to that. Because deep down, every woman wants a man who can stand on his own 2 feet, who doesn't crumble when tested, who doesn't chase validation like a lost boy. Be that man. Be the man who can walk away. Be the man who doesn't need to be chosen to know his worth. That is the act and the dark psychology of ignoring a woman. If this message hit you, if it woke you up, make sure you subscribe right now so you don't miss what's coming next. Because this is just the beginning. And if you're ready to take your power back, you'll want to be here for what's next.